Let's have a look at factorising two brackets where the value of a does not equal 1. So that value of a not equaling 1, that's coming from that general equation of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we're looking at that coefficient, what's the number in front of the x squared term. Alright, so that comes from, if I give you an example, if I had 2x plus 3 times x minus 5, when I expand that out, 2x times x is going to give me 2x squared. Alright, so these are the types of problems that we want to deal with. So we've got a method here. So we want to first of all find the two numbers that multiply to give AC. So I take the number in front of x squared and the number c by itself. And then I also want to find the ones that will add to give b. Okay, so let's do an example. So AC and b. So A is 2, C is 3. So I'm going to do 2 times 3, which is 6. And B, our value of B is 7. So the rule says find two numbers that multiply to give AC and add to give B. So I want to find the two numbers that multiply to give 6 and add to give 7. So let's think about all the ways that we can multiply two numbers to get 6. I can do 1 times 6, which is 6, or 2 times 3, which is 6. Now think about adding these numbers. 1 plus 6 is 7, 2 plus 3 is 5. So we want the two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 7. So we want the numbers 1 and 6. Alright, so that's our first step. What I'm going to do with that now is I'm going to rewrite this expression here of 2x squared plus 7x plus 3, and I'm going to split the 7x term out into a 1x and a 6x. Alright, so that's what I'm doing with this, is I'm separating it out of a 1x and a 6x. So that's what I'm going to do now. 2x squared plus 1x plus 6x plus 3. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to take the first two terms and the second two terms. I want to split them into these two chunks. I'm going to take the first two terms, 2x squared plus 1x, and I want to factorise that. So I'm thinking 2x squared plus x, what do they both have in common? They both have a factor of x that's in common. Then I need to think, okay, well, if I take x out of both of those pieces, what am I left with? And that's going to give me a 2x plus 1. Then plus. Now look at those second two terms, the 6x plus 3, and think 6x plus 3, what do they both have in common? Well, they've got a factor of 3 that's in common. So 3 times what is 6x? 3 times 2x plus 3 times 1. And so now I have factorised those two pieces separately. Now what I want you to do is look at what we've got. Is I've got, in one bracket, I've got 2x plus 1. And in the other bracket, I've got 2x plus 1. So both of those brackets are the same. So what I'm going to do now is factorise out that 2x plus 1. I'm going to take it out from both pieces. I'm going to pull them together. And so that means I'm left with an x plus a 3. Alright, so I'm just looking x plus the 3. That's what I was left with. And that is now factorised. Let's try this process again with a second example. So this is a little bit more challenging, but it's just exactly the same process. So what we need to do is we need to take the value of a and the value of c and multiply them. So 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. So I want to find two numbers that multiply to negative 36 and add to 5. So this is where we need to do some more thinking. So let's think about how I multiply two numbers to get negative 36. I could do 1 times negative 36. I could do negative 1 times positive 36. So that's two possibilities. Now let's think what else I could do. I could do 2 times negative 18, or I could do negative 2 times positive 18. Now I can think of what else could I do? What other two numbers can I multiply to get negative 36? So I could do 3 times negative 12, or negative 3 times positive 12. I could also do 4. 4 times negative 9 and negative 4 times positive 9. Can't do 5s, but I could do a 6, so I could do 6 times negative 6, and it wouldn't matter which way around they were. So those are all the possible ways which I could multiply two numbers to get negative 36. Now I need to try adding those numbers. So 1 plus negative 36 will give me negative 35. I don't want that, I want to be positive 5. So let's try the next one. Negative 1 plus 36, that's going to give me positive 35. Still not the one that I want. Positive 2 plus negative 18 will give me negative 16. Not the one I want. Negative 2 plus 18 will give me positive 16. Still looking for a 5. 3 plus negative 12 will give me negative 9. Getting closer, but still not quite. Negative 3 plus 12 is positive 9. Let's try the next one. 4 plus negative 9. 4 plus negative 9 is negative 5. Nearly, I want it as a positive 5 than a negative 5 though. So negative 4 plus 9 is going to give me positive 5. Now I've got the one that I want. So that there are the numbers that multiply. So two numbers, negative 4 and 9, they multiply to give negative 36 and add to give 5. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to take those numbers and I'm going to separate out the 5x term into minus 4x plus 9x. Alright, so that's what I'm going to separate out using that negative 4 and 9. So let's have a go. So 6x squared minus 4x plus 9x minus 6. Now I'm going to take the first two terms and the second two terms and group them. So I want to factorise the first two terms. 6x squared minus 4x. So 6 and 4, think about the numbers. 6 and 4 have got a common factor of 2. X squared and x have a common factor of x. Now think what's left over. If I take 2 times something equals 6, 2 times 3, and x times x will give me x squared, minus, now 2 times what equals 4, 2 times 2, and the x is already accounted for. Okay, now let's try the second two terms. 9x minus 6, what do they have in common? 9 and 6, they've got a 3. So now let's say, right, so 3 times what equals 9x? 3 times 3x minus 3 times 2 gives us 6. Now we can identify that this bracket and this bracket are the same. So now I can factorise them out as common. So 3x take away 2, that's common. Now let's see what's left over. I've got a 2x plus a 3. And that's what I'm going to put in the second bracket. 2x plus 3. So there is the process explained through a couple of examples for you.